Welcome to this week's episode of Heart Chronicles with myself, Minister Tasha, and
Miss Amber B.
Amber B. On this week, we are going to be discussing the art of letting go. Ooh, this one might be kind of extensive. The art of letting go. When you think of the art of letting go, when you think of letting go, what things come to mind?
Of course, forgiveness.
Of
course.
Offense.
Yes.
Ooh.
Forgiveness, offense,
Yes.
hurt, heartbreak,
Disappointment.
disappointment, not maybe accomplishing certain things that, sometimes we hold ourselves to these high standards, and then when we don't meet that mark, we kind of hold on to that, like, darn, if I
Totally.
would have just did this a little different,
Yes.
or I should have went ahead, or I should have went to school, or I should have took that job.
Right.
So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah.
I think
What
the
about
first
you?
thing that comes to mind for me would be like old ways of thinking and habits that may not necessarily have been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They worked, but then when it's time to do something different.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, okay, let's take working out for just as an example.
Okay.
Where you may have done cardio for the past 3 months and you got results, that doesn't mean that it was wrong.
Right.
And you felt good, but now you're like, I just needed something a little bit more. But for you to get the something more, you have to do something different. And so that's where you might start doing strength training, using weights, or you might go to Zumba, or you might try yoga, just something to give you that extra added that you felt like you were missing.
Okay.
Get it?
Okay. I think I can follow that.
You can follow
I think one of the things I think about when I think of the art of letting go is like just sometimes we hold on to those things that kind of keep us stuck.
Yeah,
They keep us in position.
That could be your ways,
Yes.
like your way
It just
of
keeps
doing
us
stuff.
and to let go means that you are giving yourself permission to step into
be okay
something
with
new
it.
and to build. So when you think about, of course, the first thing that comes to anyone's mind, I think when they hear the art of letting go of, oh, you got to forgive somebody. It's okay, let go of that situation.
Yes.
And letting go does not mean that you've allowed something to take place or allowed it to take over. It just means you've decided to say, I'm done addressing that issue.
And I'm not gonna let
This
it take up-
topic
yeah.
and this subject matter is no longer going to be a priority. So
Yes.
you take those things that have been a priority and you put them on the back burner. I think that's what the art of letting go is. It's finding you a new priority.
That's good.
Yeah.
Or choosing not to allow a person or thing or situation to take up space unpaid for in your mind and in your heart.
Hey, you got to stop letting people pay rent in your house
In your house.
that you do not want to be there. People can set up people and situations
Yes.
and circumstances can set up shop in your house. And when I say in your house, I'm saying internally, in your mind, in your heart. And until you learn to let those things go, they keep you bound. They keep you in just you just got all that extra stuff in you. And I think that once you let go of those things, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, how do I let go?
That's good.
And you let go by just making a choice. God gives us choices.
All day.
He gives us choices.
Free will.
It is free will. He
will.
does not force us to take his hand. He does not force us to read his word. He does not force us to submit to his will. You have a choice.
That's right.
So just like God gives us choices to submit to him, you have
Right.
a choice to submit to your own will.
That's right.
Or you have a choice to submit to your circumstances' will. And I think that ultimately everybody has a desire to get to a place of freedom. And I think that the art of letting go is the key to getting to that place.
And I think one of the things, like you said, the first thing that we come to is that it is a choice. The other thing is one mistake that we make as people is we keep rehashing the story over and over and over
Listen,
and over
He hurt
again.
your feelings.
Yes.
He hurt Tina's feelings last year. He hurt Keisha's feelings 2 years ago. It is okay, because
It's
guess
okay.
what? There may be somebody whose feelings you hurt. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because
I had one of
we
them,
can play
girl.
the victim.
Oh, I
good.
had one of them.
Oh, can we play the victim?
Somebody came back like, when we were 19, I was like, I did what? And you've been carrying that for, you know how old we are now? Like,
Yeah.
we're 40. And you've been holding this thing for all these years to where we finally just had a conversation. Like I said, at the age of 40? Well,
I believe it.
Stare myself in the face 21 years later and say,
You did that to somebody.
yeah. And the thing about it was it was something that at that age, 19, 20, 21, I was looking out for me. Like, you know what? I woke up one day, I was like, this isn't serving me anymore. Let me go get in school. Let me go get a job. I got really focused. So I didn't intend for it to come off like it did, but it did.
And it's crazy that you said that, because a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I went to a wedding.
Okay.
And I ran into a guy that both my husband and I knew. I knew him from middle school. He knew him from high school. I have not seen him since middle school. And this probably was my first week as a sixth grader. Sixth grade.
So you were 12?
I was 12 years old, and he made a comment to me, and he said, "Dang, Amber, you got a big old butt." And then he said, "Nah, I'm just lying, trying to get attention." And all the boys laughed at me. And that just killed me emotionally in the sixth grade.
And so that bothered you probably?
That bothered me.
For how long?
I said something to him about it.
You did?
I said something to him about it at the wedding, and he said, "I cannot believe you remember that." He said, "That must still have bothered you." I said, "It did." I can laugh at it, but it bothered me because it was an embarrassment.
Right.
Is what it was. It was
Right.
an embarrassment. And I can laugh at it now because I understand that we do a lot of things, and we experience a lot of things as children that people don't understand
No.
affect us in our adulthood.
That's right.
And because we haven't been able to let go of some of
That's
those
it.
things,
That's it.
we encounter issues and heartaches that we don't necessarily have to.
Man.
But because we've held on to something. And I say that to say, for anyone who is in the midst of children or you have nieces or nephews, be cautious of what you do and say,
You
because
have to.
those little things that you think are small,
Yeah, you inflict them on them.
you've inflicted something on them that they may not have they may never forget,
That's
or
right.
they may carry with them from here on
That's
out.
right.
Even something as simple as, "Oh my God, you're irritating and you talk too much."
Yes.
That child can grow up to be an adult that chooses to humble his
A forced
thoughts.
introvert.
Yes, he is
Yes.
forced to close his mouth because somebody said something to him that shattered him.
Yes.
And I wasn't necessarily shattered by
But it
that,
bothered
but
you.
it bothered me. And I didn't realize that it did until I realized, why do you have a memory from 12 years old and you're almost 40? That's because it bothered me.
Exactly.
So I was able to let that go after I said that
At
to
the
him.
age of 4. That's a
Because he
long time.
acknowledged, he said, "I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings."
Wow.
But just those little things
Yes. You don't even realize.
you don't realize
you
that
think they're
affect people.
Yeah, you think they're harmless, but they do harm. They really do.
that's why we got to watch our words.
We do.
We have to watch
We
our
do.
words, because I think your words have more power over the things that people hold on to
And the tone.
than your actions sometimes.
tone.
And the tone.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Because when you hear about people who have maybe, had parents that didn't treat them nice,
Right.
or siblings that weren't, or just older people that maybe have, they had to grow up with, their first thoughts were, they didn't treat me nice.
Right.
They were mean to me. Your words can affect and have an effect on people that can just tear them up emotionally as adults. And I pray that no one is in a position where they are still holding on to them things, but I know that they are. But just being able to let go of that thing that you have to forgive them. That's what it is. You got to forgive them.
Some things are easier to let go of than others, and I think letting go is a learned trait that you have to practice daily.
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 And you have to practice it daily. Why? Because it might be daily that you get offended.
It might be daily that you're offending someone.
Or that you're offending someone.
That thing goes both ways. It goes both ways.
And it's easy for us to point the finger. It's very difficult to be able to understand that you may be the one inflicting the pain.
Right. That's right.
And that's a hard concept to kind of digest.
And even though in your stuff, you're like, well, I was just telling the truth. And you're like, yes, you were telling the truth. However, did you have to say it like that?
Yes.
With so much stank on it?
And I had that conversation with my child last night because she said that to her brother when he came in from practice. Oh my God, you stink. And I'm like, you can't just say that. And she was like, I mean, but he does. I said, but that hurts. He probably knows that he's been at football practice. But again, those words.
Right.
Those
They
words.
stick.
And he will remember it. The next time she asks for something, he'll say, oh no, remember I stink.
Or be one of them things that it'll make him self-conscious. So, he'll make sure he's taking 10 showers a day.
Absolutely,
make sure he's putting on
yes.
cologne. You're like, why is the water bill so high? You out of Axe soap again?
Yes, yeah.
Because he's trying to overdo it to make sure that he doesn't stink.
Yeah. When I think about the art of letting go, I often think about my mother and my grandparents, because we come from a generation now where we're kind of free about our feelings and our thoughts and how we see life and how we view situations. And they didn't grow up in an era like that.
No, you be quiet.
You be quiet.
And you have no opinion. You do what I say.
Absolutely. and yes, this happened, but we're not going to talk about it. So I often wonder, when you see those individuals that come from, generations prior to us, is it maybe a situation where when you encounter the ones that maybe are still kind of mean, the older mean, do you think it's because the art of letting go has never fallen into their home?
Are they even thinking about letting go of anything? No.
You don't think so?
No. Because people like that, they feel justified. I'm this way because...
Tosh. You think so?
I know a few people that you are just mean. You're just mean. And it's just...
But they're mean because
of
there's something that they have never decided to let go of.
I agree 100%. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to address it. And that doesn't mean that I'm letting it go, because I am not.
And that's probably just how they feel.
And that's just how they act. Seriously, I can think of one person right now. You're like, whoa, you don't want to, what happened?
So, I mean, how do you have those conversations with people that are like that? I mean, because I know we all have someone in the family where you want to say, what happened to you when you was a child that nobody knows about? Because there has to be a reason you think like that. Something has taken place that causes you to act the way that you do. What have you not forgiven somebody for? Because that's basically what the art of letting go is. There was something that happened that you don't want to acknowledge.
You don't want to acknowledge, and again, there goes that word justify. You feel justified in how you feel and your stance, and this is where I'm staying, and this is why that I'm staying here. That's it. That is all. The end.
Listen, y'all. Do not allow, that's so hard for me to say. I want to say do not allow circumstances to put you in a position where you...
But it's easier said than done. I think it depends on how deep,
I held off from saying anything.
The violation goes, because some things that have happened, let's say if you were in an abusive relationship, or let's say you were... sexually abused by a family member, or something like that, or you have verbally abusive relatives or parents or whatever. Some of those things are a tad bit harder to let go of than others. When you think of your everyday offenses, okay, well, she said that wrong and I don't like how she said it. Okay, yeah, but some of that stuff where you're actually doubting yourself, like, why did that happen to me? I know someone that ended up acquiring an illness because of something that happened to her in her early 20s. you know, and so now she has to live with this thing. And has she let go of it? No. Even when she said that out her mouth to me, I was just like, wow, you know, that helped me to understand her person. That I'm not gonna say it's justified, but it helped me to understand why she was the way she was. So I was able to figure out how to be able to help her. But again, it's a choice, and some of them things, they are hard because again, you think, what did I do to deserve that?
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of our listening audience is probably saying, well, you don't know my story. You don't know why I don't want to let go. You don't know why I'm hurt. So let's just see if we can maybe touch on a few topics and maybe give Minister Tasha and Amber's advice. This is just our advice.
Just our advice.
And our recommendations on maybe how you can have that art of letting go of some of these certain situations. So, for example, if you have been neglected as a child, if maybe you have a parent that was not there, and that is something that has emotionally put you in a space of feeling locked up or feeling not good enough or feeling not wanted. My suggestion to you as far as the art of letting go is I would suggest that you understand that everybody that is a parent or that has become a parent, for one, did not ask to be a parent.
Right.
And secondly, they were only functioning with the level of knowledge that they had at that time.
That's it. And I think that's the part as adults that it's
You
hard
have
for
to
us.
understand.
You have to understand that because that's hard to grasp.
It is. It's very hard
And
to
then
grasp.
after you understand it, then you have to forgive them for what they didn't have.
Exactly.
And accept them for exactly where they are. Not what you wish they had, not what you want them to be, but for exactly who they are.
And I'll give a little transparency here. My father used to make a habit of telling me, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. I'll be there to get you. And he would never show up.
Okay.
And I would sit on the doorstep
Oh, man.
and sit on the steps and wait on
I
him.
know about that.
And my
disappointment.
mother never once talked bad
That's
about
how my
my
mom was
father.
about mine.
She never talked bad about him. And I used to be, as I got older, I remembered that. And I'm like, why did he always tell me he was coming and never show up? Like, never show up.
He had good intentions.
He had good intentions. My father is now deceased, rest his soul. But probably about maybe 6 months before he passed, I had that conversation with
Wow,
him. And
good
I
for
said,
you.
why did you always tell me you were coming and you never showed up?
What did he say?
He said to me, he said, I wanted to. He said, but it was easier for me to see you smile than to tell you no. He said, so in your presence, I couldn't see you upset by me telling you, no, I'm not going to come. So to ensure that in that moment you kept a smile, I had to tell you what I needed to tell you.
Wow.
Although it wasn't true. So I had to understand he was coming from a space of, I couldn't provide for you the way I
Yeah.
needed to.
That's big.
But if I could provide a level of emotional, I can make you smile,
Yeah.
that was enough
Wow,
for
that's-
him.
that's big.
So I had to understand he was doing all that he could do at that time with what he thought was necessary as a parent.
In the moment.
But he didn't have his father either. So
It's-
again,
it's a trickle-down
you
effect.
have to understand where people are when they have children, and you have to understand that people only do what they have knowledge of.
That's right.
You know, you can only be the best parent that you've been exposed to.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so if he never saw a father be a great father, he doesn't know how to be
How's
a
he
great
gonna know?
father.
That's right.
You know, so yes, there are some people that take that extra leap and do something different, but I appreciate. So my suggestion there is forgive people when you are an adult now and you have become a parent or you're around children. Understand where your parents were at that time and understand
Yes.
maybe they didn't understand what it meant to be a parent. Maybe they were scared out of their mind and they got put in a position that they didn't know what to do. So
That's right.
they just did whatever came to mind and it didn't make sense and it affected you, but forgive them for their lack of knowledge.
You have to.
You have to
You
forgive
have
them.
to.
You have to forgive them.
Wow, that's huge.
So next one, I'm going to let you speak on this one.
You make me nervous, Amber.
So, for those out there that may be watching and you are trying to figure out the art of letting go as it relates to relationships, and when I say relationships, I'm going to say friendships. Friendships. Your friend has hurt you. She was your best friend forever. And you've been hurt and you've held on to that. No one can get close to you now because in your mind, the person that was the closest to you, she hurt you, she betrayed you, she lied on you, she stole from you, whatever it may be. Minister Tasha, how do you let go of that?
I think kind of the same rules apply. The first thing that you said was you have to understand the person, because if that happened to you, she showed you that trait was something else with someone else. You just didn't think that it would affect you because it was you. So I don't care if it was she was scandalous toward her cousin or a brother, or how she handled another situation. You see the traits of a person. I think sometimes we just exempt ourselves from their ways because, you wouldn't do me like that because this is me. But they are who they are. So the first thing is, again, going back to when you understand the person, you're like, but man, that did hurt. The second thing, which we keep talking about, is forgiveness is key. It is key.
It is.
It is key. Now, just because you forgive doesn't mean that you have to continue to be in relationship with the person. But mature relationships, you can't get past that and continue to remain friends. I think it defines it a little better, because now that person knows, okay, I can't do that with her. Even if I do that with everybody else, I can't do that with her. And that doesn't mean that you have to, and it might take you a little time. You might have to go take a time out, not talk to you for however long before you can come back and say, hey, you know what, that really offended me. That really hurt my feelings. And when you can have an adult conversation about it, that's when real true sisterhoods get formed, because in relationships as friends, you are going to offend one another.
Right.
You're going to hurt one another. And that's not to say that you're going to, like you said, go lie or something, which I'm sure there are some friendships that have that too. But you have to be able to talk things out.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
And especially if you're quote unquote besties, we should be able to discuss this thing. And again, today might not be the day, but there should come a day where let's go to have some coffee and a smoothie, whatever y'all think is, and let's talk about this.
That's right. That's absolutely
you have to.
right.
And then you have to, once you let it go, don't keep talking about you ain't got to go run and tell everybody what such and such did and she did me wrong, because that's only adding poison to the wound.
Right.
You know, so sisters, we got to start running and telling everybody about our offenses. Even the word of God says it, go to the person.
Yes,
and talk that out. You have to, because what good is it going to do? You're going to talk to that person, and 9 times out of 10, the person over here don't even know that they offended you, or don't even know that you know that they betrayed you, or whatever the thing was that happened. And what if it wasn't how you're thinking?
And that is usually the situation. So I would recommend to anyone, as it relates to letting go and have, as Minister Tasha said, go and have those conversations.
Yes.
And explain where the offense took place, explain the situation that occurred, why it offended you, how it offended
That's
you.
right.
Because ultimately, you relieve yourself from holding on to something and not letting someone
That's
know.
right.
Because you can't sit in your hurt and expect healing.
You're not
And
going
you
to
have
heal.
never decided to discuss with the person that inflicted the pain what caused your pain.
And what I love about God is when it's time, he brings that thing, he lines it right up. I don't care if y'all cross paths. I don't care if you thinking about them, they thinking about you. You end up talking that day. But he opens the door for you to have the conversation. Now, it's up to you to choose to go in the entryway once he opens the door.
That's right.
You know, but you have to choose to. You have to want to, especially if we are to continue to walk in love. Walking in love is being able to say, you know what, that hurt me, but I forgive you. Because, again, there may have been a time where you don't know that you offended somebody.
That's right.
And it hurt them very deeply. It's something that you thought was nothing, and they're like, but I went home and cried. Like, that really did hurt me. I never thought you would say this, or I never thought you would do that. You have to have the conversation.
With the art of letting go, I would think it being the best practice, write it down in a journal.
Yeah.
Write it down,
Yes.
because even if you're not in a space where you have the boldness to go
That's
and
good.
have those conversations, if you can get it out on piece of paper, you wrote it to yourself.
And I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I did probably like right after my divorce is I just found the journal too, as a matter of fact. It was in 2007, October actually. And I wrote down, I forgive.
That's right.
And I'm talking about every little thing that I could think of, from big to small. And you'd be surprised that once you start uncovering stuff, like you start taking stuff off the pile, what surfaces. Stuff that I had no idea that I was still holding on to. Such and such said this when I was in the kindergarten. Leroy made me afraid in the first grade. You know, I mean, but seriously, you know,
Yeah.
you don't understand that what we do is we pack all that stuff down. So any little thing offends us. So then that's how we end up walking in the spirit of offense, because we have so much stuff that's packed down on the inside of us. But what I found was, once it took me about a month, 'cause I didn't rush through it. I went through people, places, things, and then I went through I forgive myself for, because that's also, you have to let go of some of the things that you felt, some of the marks that you feel like you didn't meet, or the disappointments that you have for yourself. You know, I thought I was going to be doing this at this age, or looking like this, or whatever your thing is, or living here and I'm not, or this financial status and I'm not there yet. You
That's
know,
right.
whatever your thing is, you have to forgive yourself also. So it's not only about other people, or to let go of even what you thought, your vision of where you thought you would be. You have to let go of some of those preconceived notions also, or visions that you had, because a lot of times they don't even line up with what God has for you anyway, because we're thinking too small. And he's like,
And I'm glad you said that, because God cannot get you into your next level of elevation if you have all of these things that are holding you down,
can't.
because you can't hear it.
you can't hear him.
And you can't
It's
hear
clouded.
it if you are clouded with all this stuff that you can't let go of. You know, it goes with the saying of, until you release what you have, God has no room to pour in anything
He
else.
can. I like to hold, the analogy that I use is, I tell people, as if you're holding some toothpaste. If your hand is closed, all the toothpaste gonna squeeze out anyway, because you're trying to hold on to this thing. But then when you open it, you still have the toothpaste, but it's just not a tight grasp. It can go out of your hand if you want to, or you can keep on holding it if you want to. But all while you're doing this, what can you get in there?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely.
You just hold your hand out with this closed fist, but I'm asking you for all this stuff, God. And he like, so where am I going to put it? You know, and both of your hands are closed fist, you know?
Right. So listen, as we wrap up this episode of The Art of Letting Go,
And we could go on and on.
Oh,
with
we
that
could
one.
go on and on, because it is hard to let go, but it's so rewarding on the other side when you
man,
decide
it's
to
so
let go.
freeing.
It is freeing.
It's so freeing.
So, my sisters and my brothers, if you're watching, go ahead and let go, so that
Yes.
God can come back in
It's
and refill
necessary.
you
It's
with the
necessary.
things and the tools that He has for you, so that He can take you into that next elevation.
That's good.
That next place.
That's good.
Okay. So again, we thank you guys for
Thank
tuning in to
you.
another episode of
Heart Chronicles.
We look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye-bye.
Bye.